Today we're going to be replacing the battery in this Volvo V70 P3 with a 1.6 engine in, but the procedure should be much the same across the models. Now if you've got some clips here, unclip them. I don't have that problem, so I just lift up and remove this tab, and then that exposes the 096 battery, which I do have a replacement for. So the next stage is to get a screwdriver in there and rotate that dot to open. It can be done with a key. Then remove this strip to there, and that just lifts off, revealing the battery for you to see in full. Okay, this is an optional step. I've purchased one of these battery saving gizmos that plugs into the OBD port, so it should save the memory. So I'll plug that in, taking care not to short it. Short these wires together. So I do have an old battery which will provide a little trickle charge to the memory. So that's a negative and the positive connected. Now I do understand that if you have a 9-volt battery, PP3, that will do it. It's not something I've ever tried, but if you don't have a spare car battery kicking around, I totally understand. So we'll remove the old battery, and we always do the negative first. So I've got a 10mm socket, and we'll just keep loosening that connector off. So it's imperative that we avoid shorting against anything like this positive wire here, which is a little bit dodgy, but it's something to be aware of. Fortunately, I've got an insulated tool. If yours is solid steel, you're more likely to do it, so be extra careful. Don't want to short one of these batteries, it will not be a pleasant experience. I can remember one time me and my dad were doing some work, and he managed to put a spanner across both terminals, and I was stood next to it, and it went with a hell of a bang and exploded the battery. There was a horrendous crack. So if you needed a tale of woe, that is it. So this battery is a 96 AGM, and Halford's WeFit, I've installed it. And I do believe that plug there should be going in that little hole there. There are some plugs you have to remove, so I don't think they've done a particularly good job. So we can't lift the battery straight up in the air as there's something blocking it. So what we need to do is undo these tangs here and remove the front of the battery box. I'll just slip that cable out of the way, and there are tangs this side. So just slide a screwdriver under, and just give it a wiggle and a push simultaneously, and the same on the other side. I'll just move that out of the way as best we can. You may note that I've got the airbox out. We'll get to that in a bit. So firstly, we'll remove this clip here. That just slides out and wiggles off. And then we can remove this pipe. That should just pull off. And then undo either this one or that one. I will personally undo this one. I think I'll remove the engine cover just to give better access. And that just comes off like so. Then we take a T15 Torx, and I'll fully undo and remove these 2 screws. Taking care not to drop them down, and we got away with that. So that just moves to one side, which makes life a bit easier. I like to just tuck it under there so it's out of the way, and then we can just remove this pipe here by pulling back and yanking it out. Now in here we've got a fixing just there. You'll not see it, but you'll see it better when the airbox is removed. And then we've got another fixing there. That's just simple. That one just pulls up. So this is how to deal with this one. So what I've done, I've got an 8mm socket with a little extension there. I've got it to the ratchet. Now I'll show you when we get it removed. What you've got to do is cover all the 4 tangs down there, and then you've got to push down and simultaneously lift the airbox up like so. Now if you are struggling with the socket, I've just noticed that this will just slide clean out, so that's probably the easier way to release the airbox. So now the airbox is free, and there's just this fixing here actually. That just pulls up. So we should just be able to jiggle that further out, with the exception of these 2 clips, which should just pop off like so. That's the airbox removed. So that's the new battery slid in place. Now there may be a bracket here, I'm suspecting, what's been removed in this used car I've got. Unfortunately it's not there, but there is a hole for it there. I think it's been gone a long time looking at the corrosion in that thread, but it's secure enough without, as it's lipped in one side, it can't really move around too much. So I'm going to connect the positive first, that way if we short it to ground it's safer. There's no electrical connection, but we do have to be wary against touching that with a spanner whilst we're connecting the negative. Something to think about: if the internals are not too clean, get a bit of sandpaper in like that and get everything nice and shiny before reconnecting, and that's cleaned it up quite a bit. So we'll just nip these up. Don't go too mad, as these fixings can break if you overdo it. Just be wary working near that positive terminal. So in the new battery, if you've mail ordered it, you may have 2 of these plugs. These go in here, and there's one this end and one that end, which I'm not going to refit. You can see there's a little tube to fit in just here. So it's just a matter of refitting. Get this this bottom grommet there, get that in first, and then everything else should just flow something like back together. That's it. And then slot this one back in. So I can now disconnect the memory saving gizmo and remove this battery out of the vehicle. So I'll just put this back together, get them tangs under there first, and it shuffles in like so, and then turn with a key in my case. And this bit with the broken tangs in my case, but hopefully yours are intact. Not forgetting to reinstate this rubber seal. And if it's not going on right, there could be something misaligned. It's a new battery in and the airbox replaced. Well, unfortunately the reset sequence did not work on this vehicle, but I will show you what did. Now, if you put the ignition on, you should get a battery warning within 30 seconds. So we'll just leave that there. So what actually did reset the low battery warning caused by the old battery was here. This is the BMS, the battery monitoring system. So by removing this plug here with the engine running, and you meant to do it for 20 seconds, which is exactly what I did, possibly a bit longer. All you do is you just pull that little tang in there, and it should just pull off. So you remove it for 20 seconds while the engine is running, and while the engine is still running you plug it back in, and that has cured my battery warning. And so we currently have no messages with the exception of the bonnet open. Many thanks for watching, and why not subscribe to learn of more low cost repair solutions without visiting any dealers and parting with a ton of money.